look, firstly, it's an honour to be here today, and I'm proud to be amongst dedicated trade unionists, and I see comrades from Reading that I've worked with in the past and people from all across the UK, so it's an honour to be here to address you in my first year as a General Secretary. And I think this is a good reminder, actually, as someone who's been an activist, a rep, a lay official of my union for the last 25 years, following in my dad's footsteps, who was a firefighter and a trade unionist, of where the power really lies within the trade union movement. Now, I sit now as a General Secretary, and often people say, what's it like to be in charge of our union? And I often say, well, no, it's our members that are in charge of our union. I stood on that platform, and that's why I believe I was elected, because I said I would get back to the grassroots organising, back in workplaces, and make sure that every fire station, every fire control room, every training centre, every headquarters building becomes a bastion of the fire brigade union, of the trade union movement. And that's what I commit to do. What I want to see within my sector and across the trade union movement is that when the bosses turn up at our workplaces, at fire stations, that they know it's a fire brigade union workplace. Actually, we're the ones that control the narrative. We're the ones that demand better pay. We're the ones that direct our members in the work that they do. Not some boss, not some county council who wants to make cuts to the fire and rescue service. It's the workers that make the decisions. It's the workers that decide what they do, because it's the workers that can stop what they do on a day-to-day basis. It's not the bosses that can stop that. It's us that can stop the trains from moving. It's us that can stop the bakeries from working. It's us that can stop fire engines going out the door. And we need to recognise that power. And I think that is what the National Shop Stewards Network can do. Bring together shop stewards, those activists in workplaces up and down the UK, and bring that power and strength to the forefront. And look, I won't repeat what has already been said about the cuts that we faced. But look, I've seen austerity firsthand, not just because we've lost 1 in 5 firefighter posts, 12,000 less firefighters than we had 15 years ago. The impact that that has on the safety of members of the public, that is there to see. It now takes us on fire engines to get to house fires, road traffic collisions, floodings, wildfires, 3.5 minutes longer than it did in the 1990s. That is shameful and it is disgraceful. That's why we're demanding more from this Labour government. Look, we cannot see the difference between Tory austerity and Labour austerity at the moment. We need to start demanding that change, and we'll do that. That we will do that as an affiliated union of Labour. Look, it's hard to stomach that sometimes. I stood at our conference 5 weeks ago in Blackpool, where our armed delegates debated whether we should be affiliated to the Labour Party. And I stood there and said, look, we're in the party, we need to demand change from inside, but that line won't last much longer. We need to see movement on our pay. We need to see movement on making communities safe and investing in the fire and rescue service. So I see that as my job. I see that as a job of every trade unionist, to start demanding investment in the public services, demanding better pay, not begging to Labour. But we helped get them elected a year ago. And again, like Rob said, we celebrated that. But we're stood here a year later, not seeing a change that we demanded. So that we will continue to do that. We will continue to put the pressure on Starmer's throat, on Wright and Reeves' throat. We will call them out for their toxic policies and their demonising of disabled workers, their complicity with the genocide in Gaza. Look, we will call them out on that, and we will stand up for workers at every point in time. So look, I'll finish with this, as Steve has said, that they can find money for wars, that we need to make sure that there's money for us. We've been made poorer and poorer during the years of austerity, while the rich have got richer. That we need to put a line in the sand. I want to work with the NSSN. I commit the Fire Brigade Union support to this conference in the future, whilst I'm General Secretary. And thank you again for having me. Cheers.
Steve, and it has been a while since we've had an FBU speaker, so we welcome that. But also, obviously we have been working very hard on the ground, supporting your members, fighting the cuts as well. So just to give a chance for Ed to walk up those stairs and not fall down. Our next speaker is Ed Harlow, the Vice President of the